What are the policy questions I think we ought to look at? One is, and this will be, I know what we'll talk about here, the nature of the whole employee-employer relationship. I don't believe the 20th century definitions of you're either an employee or an independent contractor are going to be enough. And there are other nations, Canada, Germany, and lots of folks in the EU are starting to think about third levels of definition and potentially more. Part of this phenomenon is taking place, frankly, love it or hate it, around Obamacare, because the ability to have health care that's not tied to your employment really frees up a lot of the ability to be in this on-demand economy. So as we look at unemployment, workman's comp, disability, traditional state-run social insurance programs, should we look at the healthcare exchange model? Should they be opt-in or opt-out? Does it have to be government-run? Could it be private sector-run? Can we take some of the old ideas? One of the ideas I'm very interested in is the hour bank. Think about the building trades unions. If you were a carpenter in the 50s, you might have worked for 10 different contractors. Some might have been good, some may not have been good, but on every one of those you had a portable benefit, and both you and the employer paid in a little bit, and it was managed by an independent third party, not by the government, by in that case the union. So is there going to be a third party social benefit that might be administered? We've got to also make sure, and what I've found kind of on the second issue is you don't want to squash the innovation. But as I talk particularly to people working in the on-demand economy and CEOs, they do realize there needs to be some policy prescriptions. We don't want to come in heavy-handedly, but we also don't want to default to 100 different litigation cases all across the country. So I do think this is an area where there is this moment, if we can get it before it gets polarized, where we can be ahead on the policy area in collaboration with the people who are doing the innovation, in collaboration with the people who are working in this economy. And they do need these things. I was with a bunch of Etsy makers the other day, and they all love it, but they were really afraid. A couple of them were jewelry makers. They said, if I hurt my hand, I've got nothing. So this is an issue that cries out for a solution. Third is that, on a broader basis, and this is a little tangential, but I think we have to realize the federal government needs to be a heck of a lot more nimble. We don't have great data, and we need to get BLS to do one of those supplemental surveys to try to look at how really big this economy is, what are more of its characteristics. We've got to look on an ancillary basis about things like making sure if we're going to have this innovation-driven gig economy all across the country, we've got to make sure we've got broadband deployment. There's lots of areas around Virginia in particular where people would love to do this. In rural communities that have been displaced with furniture and textiles and others, they want to try this, but they've got to have broadband. We've got to make sure we do a better job. Many of the folks that I see in the so-called gig economy that are millennials are actually entrepreneurs as well. So how do we consolidate and think better about the federal programs, which are a complete mishmash about supporting of entrepreneurs?